Yo, it's your boy JTG, former WWE superstar, and I'm here to tell you you're listening to Ruthless Aggression Podcast, and on this episode, they're talking about The Rock versus Brock, SummerSlam 2002, and this match was straight money. Actually, it was money. Yeah.
I forgot to tell you.
Don't make fun of me!
Here comes the pain!
Enjoying the ride, Randy.
His name is Eric Bischoff! What is the one quality that you possess that makes you think that you can walk out here and come to the ring and face the very best in the business? Ruthless aggression.
Thank you for joining us on the Ruthless Aggression Podcast. My name is Sean Stasiak. No. I'm the Shawn Michaels of the Ruthless Aggression Pod. You're not going to hear any swears or slurs from me. I'm Levi.
I hope you would.
Joined with the...
Someone says, hey, I hope you wouldn't say slurs. Jeez. Anyways, that's Levi.
I'm just saying I'm a good boy. I'm
a good
joined with
boy.
the Eugene of the Ruthless Aggression Podcast.
Yes, I'm the Eugene. Going full heel. No, I'm the I don't know. Who'd I be? Now you got me thinking, because I love Shawn Michaels, but yeah, I guess I'm not the Shawn Michaels. I'm not completely squeaky clean. Just to keep with the DX theme, I'm the Triple H, because I'm gonna I'm gonna bury you. No.
You're going to turn your back on me? Is that what's going on?
That's it. That's exactly it. I'm Kyle. What's up? Yeah, my stepdad. I remember, like, whenever I was first really into wrestling, around, like, 2002-ish, my stepdad found out I was watching it. And I guess because I went to go watch it, and he was like, oh, you know it's fake, right? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, yeah, you know when they bleed, they cut their heads with a razor blade. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Where would they hide the blades in the match, Goofy? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, looking back, it's like, what joy did people get from doing that? It's like, oh, you like a thing? Well, here's how it works. You like it now, stupid? It's like, yeah.
You know,
like, you like watching football? You know it's all professionals, right? They ain't real people. It's like, yes, okay, your point.
You know,
what do I know, Levi?
sorry, I got a tweet and it was really funny. Anyway, I think
it said LOL XD and had a picture of a troll face on it. Was that it?
Yeah. I'm still doing. I'm just looking at a Rage comic, you know, like.
Oh my gosh, I saw a Rage comic that said like, lay me opening cereal box, and then like you accidentally open it from the other side, and then it showed the big angry face going fuck. I laughed.
Those they were all the rage, no pun intended. Back in the day, back in high school.
Back in the
Honestly,
year 1924.
People just want to be right, especially,
Yeah.
and from what I have, like, my perception being, adults really like to be right when it comes to kids. Like, kids are stupid. I've just had people in my life who won't take my opinion or my viewpoint just because they knew me as a kid. It's just like, get over yourself. You are an idiot. Like, yeah.
My least favorite, more so than people like that. I hate when ladies who have babies will suddenly be experts on everything just because they're moms.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
Yeah, I do.
It's like, oh man, you know, I really love spaghetti. I think making spaghetti is the best. You know, as a mother, I think spaghetti's bad. You can trust me. I'm a mom of 4.
And that is 1,000 years of wisdom per baby.
1,000 years of wisdom.
But yeah, I definitely had those moments. My grandpa was pretty ruthless.
Ruthless grandfather.
Yeah, and my PE teacher one time was like, "Oh yeah, they stomp the mat when they hit them. You know, it's fake. Your whole life is a lie." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I know."
You know, Undertaker's not really dead, right?
Good
No.
Lord. I'm just gonna
He's
go.
called the Dead Man.
I'm just gonna walk into the movie theater one day and be like, "Hey, this isn't real. This didn't happen. It's kayfabe."
I'll never forget whenever we'd be hanging out, like me and John Chucky, and we'd be bringing up points about like dumb inconsistencies in movies or something. And be like, "Oh, Chucky'd always be like, you know what? They didn't film Star Wars in space. It's fake." It's like, no.
It's actually a green screen.
Exactly, a green screen.
I'm hype. I'm hype about it. But what I'm more hype about is this episode of the Ruthless Aggression Podcast.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, let's just jump right on in.
And now, SummerSlam.
Jump right on in. Can I say the first thing I noticed is in the title, in the little title cards, whenever they show people's name, they're using the same font that they use in Mortal Kombat 3. It's a fun little fact for you. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I've played so much Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 that like I recognize that font from a mile away.
I hear you.
Well, hear this. No.
So SummerSlam is live from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, but it's billed from Long Island. With this event, SummerSlam became the first pay-per-view to have events in 3 major indoor venues in the New York metropolitan area. Madison Square Garden hosted the event in 1988, 1991, and 1998. The Izod Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey hosted the event in 89, 97, and later in 2007. Ooh. We are presented by Foot Locker, and we've got 14,797 in attendance this evening.
There are a lot of people there.
It's jam-packed. They're like sardines.
I noticed, which is weird, because, like, I mean, personally, I didn't feel overall that the crowd was too into the show, but, you know, whatever.
I disagree. Let's talk about it.
I think when it mattered, they were into it, but then, you know, whenever it kind of had, like, lulls, they were just like, I don't care. Like, they were so dead for, like, Benoit and RVD.
Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. There are no pyrotechnics for Angle's entrance, and Kurt Angle has vowed to break Rey's ankle tonight.
And raise he shall.
He just rips off his leg. Sorry, Zach Gowen.
He just grabs Rey Mysterio by both legs and just pulls him in half like a wishbone.
He definitely could have, like, when you go back and watch.
I know the way he threw him around, man. Oh.
Rey, actually, fun fact, Rey's mask was not on completely. That's like a fun fact of SummerSlam 2002. So, like, he was, like, scurrying to the ring, and he attacks Kurt from behind with the springboard Hurricanrana. And this match is underway.
I love how Angle is so, like, you could tell, as a competitor, as a wrestler, as a personality, he's very respected, but at the same time, people just hate him as a heel, and I love it. I love Angle.
He's very easy to hate. If Mick Foley has cheap pops, then Kurt has cheap dicks. I'm still not over his line from Vengeance where he's like, we're in Detroit. These people need to make better cars. Like, what?
I don't know. Whenever he would just, like, heel, like, talk down stuff, he just sounded like, I don't know, goofy? Is that a word? Is that the word I want to say? Just, like, kind of oblivious.
Yes.
Like, oh, Tennessee, I figured you'd all be square dancing or something, you know? I guess you're not too busy making out with your cousins to come over tonight.
Shut up, Kurt, you big goof.
So Rey misses a 619 or a 619, if you will. Kurt goes outside and drags Rey out so viciously, and I have here, he looks like he's trying to rip his leg off.
I know, man. He manhandled Mysterio in this whole match, and I loved it.
Kurt starts working Rey over, and Rey tries to come back, wrapping his legs around Kurt to attempt a bulldog. But Kurt does an awesome reversal and just slams him on his back. Crowd is hot for this one, and everyone there hates Kurt Angle, as you said.
I know. Like, this is... until the main event, I think this was like the biggest kind of crowd reaction of the night. Like, they were ready for this match.
I like Kurt's attire. Like, he looks like a big thing of popcorn.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like, I was thinking, like, since... I don't know, this is me, like, all I can think of around 2002 time is like, oh, this is like fresh post 9/11. And so I'm always kind of like eyeballing certain things or scrutinizing certain things because, you know, WWE's really obviously playing to this. That's one thing I kind of thought, like, Kurt's, you know, he's supposed to be red, white, and blue America boy, but he's bad. And his outfit, it's like, you know, red and white, but there's not really a whole lot of blue, kind of like a big circus tent. And I feel like they're just doing that to where it's like, oh, he's wearing Kurt Angle colors, but he's not really like, you know, super America, you know, because he's bad.
This is your cue to boo this man.
Yes, they didn't want to be booing anybody with an American flag.
But Kurt's so good, he doesn't have to try to get booed. He just does.
He just does.
Kurt Angle has gone to the options menu, and he is on legend difficulty. He's reversing so much from Ray.
He knows when to tap L2 and R2.
Submission by Kurt, but like he's basically doing like a half Boston Crab or a single leg Boston Crab, but Ray's foot is touching his head. That's gotta hurt. Big belly to belly by Kurt, and he's pulled the straps down. He's going after it, boy.
He's getting intense. I'm surprised, honestly. I figured Kurt would at this point just pick Rey Mysterio up and just tie him into a pretzel knot or something. I'm like, come on, Kurt, please.
Untie me this instant. Kurt is so annoyed by Ray. And I have here this match is 100 miles per hour in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, they really were trying to show, like, what makes Rey Mysterio special in this match. And they did. Like, oh my god.
Fun fact, Kurt actually went out of his way to adapt to Ray's style. And Ray was like, no, you don't have to do that. And, like, Kurt, like, insisted.
I mean, you can really tell, like, whenever he's doing, like, Hurricane Ranas and stuff like that, Kurt, he sells it, and he sells it good.
Yeah, he took, like, all his best moves and just made Ray look like a threat. Where otherwise would have been hard to, like, get over.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing about the match, is that Angle gave off, like, the feel, like, the way he was just, like, body language, his intensity, like, he gave off the feel that he was a bona fide threat. Like, hey, you're in over your head, and I'm going to show you. But Ray, I mean, he just rolled with the punches. Literally. But they just work so well with each other. Like, this, definitely one of the best matches of the night. If somebody said, this is my favorite one of the night, I'd be like, I could see where you're coming from.
Absolutely, and I would go on record to say this is the best opening match, at least for SummerSlam's, like, history.
Oh, yeah.
You had brought this up like a week ago, and you said you didn't know why the ref was not allowing Ray to dive, and I thought it was kind of weird. Yeah, it was like, don't do it, you can't dive, you goof. It's like, this happens all the time now. Who cares?
Went for the angle slam. Watch the arm by Mysterio, and Mysterio just took Angle out with a shot to the knees, and Ray's gonna fly, and the referee says, the referee trying to prevent Mysterio.
I agree with the people. That's a crop. Oh, here comes Mysterio!
What are you doing, Big Daddy?
Like, you gotta let him catch his breath, you big goofball. It's like, no, that's his style, big jump boy. I guess they just wanted a good excuse to have that nice spot where you just kind of leapfrog roll or whatever over the ref onto Kurt, which looked cool, but it was a very awkward setup.
Such a near fall by Ray. Kurt is like the master of like kicking out at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
Ray jumps backwards onto Angle's shoulders, and it's reversed into an ankle lock. Such a cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast pop, and Angle kicks out.
Yeah. I love how it's like, I was just waiting for the West Coast pop, you know?
Why isn't that still a move? I like that.
I know. I don't know. Maybe because I'd probably say, my knees. Whatever.
Yeah, dude, just drink some young juice. What are you
drink some of that patented young juice. Come on.
I told Stephanie recently, I stole a line from The Rock. She's like, she said something really snarky to me, and she was like, maybe you just need to do this. And I said, well, maybe you need to just drink a big tall glass of shut up juice. And she laughed for like 30 minutes. I kid you not.
Says this, you should be concerned with fixing yourself a nice tall glass of shut up juice. Fix it.
Oh my god, that's great.
So to finish off the match, Angle reverses the Hurricanrana into an ankle lock. Kurt drags him to the middle of the ring, and Ray taps out. Kurt Angle wins by submission.
They gotta have a rematch. I mean, do they?
Oh yeah.
I was about to say, this feels like rematch territory, because that his tap out to the ankle lock. I mean, the ankle lock is devastating, but I just feel like he didn't sell it enough, you know?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I guess I'm just kind of picky. Like, if you're going to tap to a submission, you got to look like you're broken. Like, please, and then just give up. I don't like when folks are just like, I'm in it. Ooh, I'm in it. Oh, there you go. You know, that's what I felt like he did.
My biggest pet peeve about submissions is when they hang on too long. Because,
Yeah.
like, you watch UFC, and I hate to compare the two, but when you are locked into a submission, legitimately, armbar, whatever it is, you tap out immediately. Because you don't want your stuff to get broken or pulled
exactly.
or teared or anything. So it's like when they're like, oh, I'm in the Walls of Jericho for 3 minutes. No. Don't do that. Don't do that, Big Daddy.
You got to find that sweet spot. I mean, who was it later on? Which match was it later? They actually had a lot of holds, but it was intense. Wasn't it like... was it Eddie Guerrero versus Edge?
It's got to be.
It's got to be. Because I think I wrote down something about
There's
that.
a lot of those, actually. That's why I can't give you an answer.
Yeah, that was the match. Yeah, I specifically noted that they knew how to work and sell submissions really well.
So on our thumb tier scale, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in between, where does this rate?
Oh yeah, big thumbs up. Not the biggest thumb up, because like I said, the tap out made me go, but knowing that there's a big rematch coming, got me excited. So yeah, big old thumbs up.
This gets a Big Daddy thumbs up from me. I'm just like if you take Big Daddy V's thumb, just, picture him holding up his thumb. Like, that is the thumb.
And giving you that big creepy smile with his big old dark eyes.
Ugh. No, like I said, 100 miles per hour in the best way. Like, there's little intricate details in the moves they're doing that you wouldn't initially catch. And, like, this might take you a couple watches to be like, oh, this is probably one of the greatest SummerSlam matches ever.
I know. So, I mean, like, just, both of them just, like, fine-tuned. Like, they both looked like professionals. Like, they were on their A game. And it was really fun to watch. I love this match.
And good for Ray, WCW guy coming in. He's little and...
I was going to say, because, I remember the hype for Ray coming in. I remember, like, the big old promos with his, all his masks and little flashes from his WCW footage and all that stuff. But, man, they really sold this guy over the moon. Like, they were like, he is everything we are leading him to be. He is that good. And it was just amazing.
Ironically, I think his worst booking days were... when he was the champion.
Yep, which is so sad.
It's just so ironic. Backstage promo with Stephanie bragging about SmackDown tells guy to, like, just a random guy, to tell Eric Bischoff to top that SmackDown match. Oh. But Eric is in her office. They have to share an office for the evening. I don't have too many things to say about these backstage segments other than they're boring and didn't need to be there.
Like, they felt like they had to. It's like, we got to push that SmackDown versus Raw angle. We got a video game coming out in 5 years. But, it was just weird. Like, I love the whole Stephanie and Eric Bischoff angle on SmackDown and Raw, but on pay-per-views, like, just don't force it too much.
Yeah.
It just felt kind of like an afterthought here.
Up next, we have Chris Jericho versus Ric Flair. As a man who loves stained glass, I really liked...
Okay. That's like the leading expert opinion thing. It's like, oh, how do we perform open heart surgery? Well, as a man who loves stained glass.
Come on. Anyways, I was gonna say, in relation to what I was talking. Oh man, that's funny. Jericho has stained glass theme tights, and I love them.
Yeah, they were looking nice. I don't know. As far as Jericho goes, I couldn't get over his beard at this time. I thought it was so gross.
See, now you know where I'm coming from.
He does not look good with facial hair.
Or maybe it's just the overall package. He just looks like a slime ball. He's got those, like, red tips to his hair,
Yeah.
He's trying to be cool.
Yeah, it's like it's like I think about like how Edge looks. It's like he wants to be like Edge, but he's coming off just really lame.
Ooh, interesting take.
Ooh, interesting take. But I think that's kind of what he's going for. I mean, he's the heel. He's not trying to be too cool.
Rick comes out to not A Space Odyssey 2001, and I was disappointed. Flair is 52 here, making his SummerSlam debut, which makes back-to-back debuts for Ray and Rick. Jericho backs Flair into the corner, and Rick responds with a slap.
I want to say two things. One, I just noticed Y2J. I mean, this is like throughout the night, but I first noticed it whenever he saw Ric Flair coming out. He really likes just going like, "Oh, son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!"
See, that's what I was trying to tell you on the last pay-per-view. Just like he's so vocal.
I noticed. I want to say I noticed a sign
him.
like S. I know he's great. He's very vocal. I mean, that's kind of throughout his entire career. He's always been really loud, but. As far as Ric Flair goes coming out, yeah, I noticed that his theme, it wasn't the same as it always been. I didn't quite dig it. I'm glad it changed. I thought Flair looked good. You know, he looked kind of leathery, looked kind of, you know, I spent too much time in the sun. But compared to how he looked when he went out, he looked fine. Especially his hair, man. What happened to that? That just disappeared fast. But still, despite that, somebody had a sign saying Flair is old, and that made me kind of sad.
Well, I mean, like I said, he's 52 here, and he's making his SummerSlam debut. So, what happened? What took so long, Rick Daddy?
WCW? I don't know.
And also, agreeing with you, I said he looks good here. He looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, I mean, he's got kind of, I tan too much skin and a little bit of sag of titties, but he's still got visible abs and some guns and a full head of hair, so...
He looks like he could beat you up.
Yeah, he looks
as far as old men go.
He looks a little aged, but for comparison, he looks miles ahead of his TNA match with Hogan look.
I've never actually seen that, so maybe I should review it.
It is really hard to watch. It is so sad because they bladed, and it's like Hogan with his busted spine and Flair with his old busted hips, and they're all like kind of deflated looking and just saggy and tan. It's really sad.
Rick, he starts working Jericho over with punches and chokes and asking him if he likes it. It's very strange. Back body drop to Ric Flair. I have here, this match is moving much slower than the previous outing.
Yeah, that's one thing that I immediately noticed when I watched it. After the first one, I was like, oh yeah, what's next? I'm ready. And then it was like, Y2J, yeah, versus Ric Flair. You know? It's like, I don't mind a slower match. I think overall the match was fine. You know, it was really physical and such. And, you know, Rick, for his age, you know, he's worn. He moved pretty good, and he's pretty agile. I mean, still kind of slow in spots, but whatever. But it felt very much in contrast to the match before it.
Flair sends Jericho outside, but he skins the cat. When he does that, he runs into a huge chop from Ric Flair. JR says Jericho was 2 when Ric Flair debuted.
Oh gosh. Are they pushing the old thing in the commentary?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. I wasn't paying too much to the commentary at this point. I was kind of just enjoying seeing Flair.
Well, I mean, they're not being like, look how old Ric Flair is. They're just kind of like, yeah, he's kind of old when you think about it.
He's kind of old.
When you look at him in his saggy skin.
I mean, I don't know. I guess because, like, he has more respect from, you know, pre-WWE days. They kind of, like, push his kind of prestige, his age. But Hogan, they don't really do the same for him quite as much, you know?
Well, he doesn't want to be outed as an old person.
I know, even though he's older than Ric Flair, isn't he?
He wants immortal to mean something.
Oh, yeah, I guess. That's why he tattooed it on his back.
Oh, yeah, he did do that. Ew.
He has the worst tattoos now. Oh, my gosh, it's so... ugh.
Jericho reveals the steel part of the barricade and does an axe handle to the outside onto Flair. Flair flops around and bumps into the cameraman, and he's like, oh God! One of my favorite parts of the whole night. Jericho does this boxing taunt. Rick tries to fight back with chops, but is met with a drop kick. JR notes that Jericho is trying to tire out Flair, which is no small feat. Because he says Flair is one of the most cardiovascular pure athletes in the WWE. And I don't have a doubt that he's talking about his partying lifestyle.
Yeah, for real.
Flair's like, I run 50,000 miles a day. Just have good cardiovascular techniques.
Man, it's like, I know Rick, his whole thing's chops, a lot of chops, but especially in this match, I felt like there were just a ton of them, Chop crazy this match was.
Rick oversells Jericho's choke on the ropes, and Flair evades and sends Jericho into the ring post. Flair yells, "Now!" before a suplex attempt, so it's a little, you talk too much, botchamania moment. Reversed into a figure 4 by Jericho to Flair. Through a walls of Jericho, that is. Rick taps after grabbing the ropes, and I was confused as to why he did it, if nothing else but to sell the pain.
That honestly kind of confused me. The only way, in my mind, I figure was just that, you're fighting that urge to tap so much that whenever you actually are free from it, you're just like, yes, I can tap. It feels so good, yes. It's like when you're on a road trip and you have to go to the bathroom and you're like, I can't right now.
That's interesting.
And you finally get to, and you're like, yay, this feels great. My bladder's going to explode.
I guess it's one of those things that, you have to communicate with the crowd. Not everything is that way, so to say.
Yeah.
I guess what he was thinking was, the crowd will know I can't take any more pain if I do this. So it works, but then again, it's also confusing. Figure 4 onto Chris Jericho, and he taps. Back-to-back submission wins for Ric Flair and Kurt Angle.
Yep. I mean, think about old Ricky F. His figure 4 is, pretty dang well protected.
You think so?
As far as, if memory serves me correct, many people, will, be like, I'm gonna buck you and do it on you, you big goof. But when he does it on somebody, it's like, they're like, oh my god! Ah!
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's figure 4. It's it's special. It's nobody's is quite like his.
Jericho insisted on tapping to the figure 4. Ric Flair was supposed to win with a roll-up. To be he barely squeaked one out. Ric Flair was having doubts, so could he do it anymore? Was he good? Was he good enough? And Jericho's like, you kidding? You're the Nature Boy. I'm gonna tap out to that figure 4. And it's just it was so cool to hear that. Jericho was so insistent on hey, you're the man.
That is really cool.
Little sweet story.
I know Ric Flair's a bit of a goofball behind the scenes. By goofball, I mean an alcoholic with terrible sense and money, and he can't really keep his family in line. But as a character, I think Ric Flair, as a wrestler, as a character, I think Ric Flair is fantastic. He's very important to a lot of people, not just in WWE, way before National Wrestling was a thing, and rightly so. I forget who said it, but just comparing Rick to his WCW career, and it's WCW didn't really care. Rick was just another face in the crowd. But whenever he came to WWE, they really treated him as good as they made him out to be. They gave him a lot of respect, and it really shows throughout his entire WWE career.
He's earned every bit of that, especially when you hear how he got into the business and how he trained, and he's been in a plane. I don't have to tell you. Ric Flair is
we
Ric
all
Flair.
know Rick. We all know old Ricky Flair.
I want to die. But yeah, very competitive. I liked this match.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll give it a good little solid thumbs up. It was a fun match. It wasn't as crazy or as intense as the previous one, but I mean, it was just all around pretty dang solid.
Backstage, Paul says Hogan's career is dead, and he needs to murder The Rock's title reign. I just love Paul with words,
Mm-hmm. He's intense. He makes you murder? That's a bad word. Is Brock gonna murder somebody?
Probably.
Oh, gosh.
He puts over The Rock, but says he feels like the underdog. Paul says tonight the next big thing will arrive.
I guess in a way that is kind of weird to say, but yeah, I guess he has a point there. Kind of like the underdog, even though he's booked to be this crazy powerful new guy. Because it's you're just wondering, that's the thing I guess I loved about Brock, was that he was so intense, you could believe that he was a force to be reckoned with, but at the same time, it's he still had to prove himself, so it's always could he do it? And I didn't really have much else to say about this segment, but I will say, Paul's words are as good as his ponytail was long.
Do you miss the ponytail?
His ponytail was crazy long, I noticed in this pay-per-view, and...
Yes.
No, did he shave it off recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I miss the small one, not like the crazy long one. That one's creepy, but his well-managed ponytail. I kind of miss it. It just made him look kind of like that much more kind of skeezy and like slimy, but in a good way that you want from a manager who is supposed to be slimy.
Up next, we got Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, and I have some interesting feelings about this match.
That's good, but you're gonna have to hold it, because I gotta take a break. A bathroom break. Ruthless Aggression Podcast. We'll be back after these messages. Hey, Stone Cold Steve Austin for me on this. No, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Pepsi Blue, a new fusion of berry and cola. Pepsi Blue, it's the mix.
Rated T for teen. WrestleMania X8, only for Nintendo GameCube.
Kenny, thanks to you and Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner, I've made some great new friends in racing. But just last week, Scott Wimmer took me fishing. Man, I hope you drive better than you fish. But nobody compares to my new best friend, Tony Stewart.
Hey, Big Show. There's room for one more.
Yeah.
Wait!
Burn fat, crush cravings, and supercharge your energy. Stacker 2 of Fed You're Free, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Who said Kenny can't run fast?
Ruthless aggression.
The signs that I spotted here are Deport Eddie sign.
Yeah, I was about to say, the signs here.
A double showing of Dirty Small in the game. And, again, Eddie Guerrero has the worst haircut in the company.
Yep, saw another mullet sign, yeah. Two signs I noticed that aren't the usual mullet and, some kind of like, Eddie mows my lawn because he's Hispanic, get it? Was I saw one that made me laugh. It just said Latino Heat has smelly feet. Did you see that one?
No.
It was like front row center, or not front row, but it was like center camera. It was funny. I lolled.
Dude, there were some good signs. My favorite one was probably pork.
Yeah, I know. I was watching that, and Crystal was kind of just like, she's playing like a Pokemon game or something. I don't know what these kids do today. And she looked up and she's like, "What's with that sign?" Well, what sign? It's Eddie Guerrero. No, the one that says pork. And I was at a loss. I didn't know what to say. But there was one, and the camera got it just in time, was this kid, and he had a sign that said, "I'm an edgehead" on it, and it had a hole cut in the middle, and he stuck his head through it. And he was like intense whenever, I think it was like when Edge won, or maybe when he was getting like the upper hand, he was like, "Yeah!" And he must have noticed himself, because he turned to the camera at the right moment and went, "Yeah!" And then it cut away from him. I was like, no, I want to see more of that kid. The Edge
Put
head.
Edge Boy back.
Put Edge Boy. Bring back Edge Boy.
Okay, let's be real. We're in Long Island, Edgehead. It's got to be Zack Ryder.
It's just a little tiny Zack Ryder. I'm sure Zack Ryder's probably a teenager at this point. Whatever.
Most likely.
It was still him. He looked like a boy until he was 30.
But I have noted, like, all these signs for these two guys tell you just how over they are. Like, these people are here to see them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, ooh. Made me realize, like, one, how much I love Eddie Guerrero, and two, how much I really enjoy Edge. Made me very sad just watching this match, just thinking that he's retired now. From the moment Eddie Guerrero came out, man, like, he wasn't just over the top or anything like a lot of heels are. He was just so subtle with being a complete asshole, and I loved it. Like, he just radiated just arrogance, and I love it. I love him so much as a heel.
I just miss Eddie so much, and
I don't know.
just knowing that he didn't go to what, the length he could have. It's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, we got enough to where I feel like, oh man, what if isn't really a thing for me so much with Eddie Guerrero. There's plenty of amazing Eddie Guerrero stuff. It's just that there could have been a hell of a lot more, and I guess that's so sad. That's the sad thing about Eddie Guerrero.
I do find it weird that out there exists a triple threat match between Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and CM Punk.
Really?
Yes.
Where did they record it?
Eddie was on the Indies for a short minute, and Ray was on there because WCW had closed down, and CM Punk was running the Indies at that point. So I don't know where, but I know it is out there.
That's crazy. I gotta go find that, man. I bet you just search on Google, you find it.
But Eddie works over Edge after the neck breaker on the ropes, which was really cool. Edge launches Eddie so far. And I love the way Eddie hits the ropes. Steve Austin hits the ropes pretty good, but Eddie, he's up there. Top rope hitter. Edge ties up with Eddie in the ropes and spears him. And I was like, oh dang, early finish. But no.
No, not tonight.
Because he goes for it again, and Eddie reverses to send him outside.
At this point, this is the point when he kind of really started to work Edge's shoulder, right?
Yeah, because he sent him into the stairs, and that's his bad shoulder. And I have here awesome continuity moment, because we learned that Edge injured that shoulder in a match. Cole said it was against Kurt Angle after a failed spear attempt. Eddie works over the shoulder many times in this match, but there's a top rope arm breaker by him that just looked really sore.
I love how after he hit the stairs, Eddie was like, oh, a weakness, and that just became the recurring thing throughout the entire match, just working that shoulder, and he made it. He really worked it. I was like, damn.
He's such a perfectionist. I love that about him.
Oh yeah, it's like surgical precision the way he works it.
Edge fires back with a sloppy power slam, and I like that he couldn't get all of it, but at the same time, I didn't like that he could get much of it at all.
Yeah.
Michael Cole rightfully calls it out, too. I like that he does some one-armed clotheslines, though. Those are pretty cool. Edge with the bad shoulder suplexes Eddie outside, and I have here, come on, Edge.
You big goof. You gotta sell that shoulder better.
Edge hits crossbody outside like an idiot. And then a top rope execution. Spear reversed with a drop kick. What'd you think about that one?
That's pretty dang tight. Kind of came out of nowhere.
Eddie goes for the frog splash, but hits the knees of Edge.
Oh gosh, yeah. Owie. It always gets me whenever somebody's doing a dive or something and they just get kneed. It's always hard to watch. I just imagine their chest caving in.
Execution by Edge met with a near fall, and Cole says no one's ever kicked out of that move before. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he said. Eddie headbutts Edge multiple times, and then a frog splash on the shoulder, but Edge kicks out. Strange.
Edge just being resilient. He's just trying to show he's a strong man.
He is. And Edge hits a spear with the bad shoulder for the win. And I have here, this match really reminded me of why I didn't like Edge at the time.
Really?
I couldn't stand Edge.
Personally, was he on Raw or SmackDown? He was on Raw, wasn't he? Or is it SmackDown?
No, SmackDown.
SmackDown. I don't know what my deal is. I'm sorry. I'm trying to focus my thought here. I just don't remember him too much. I mean, I remember him, of course, but I didn't really start to notice him until kind of later on in the 2000s, whenever he was on Raw. Whenever he got his really cool black jacket with all the straps on it, became the rated R superstar cool guy.
On this day, I see clearly.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't like Edge was because this was his match over and over and over again. He'd get, a couple moves in the beginning and then get worked over the entire time. And even then, like, as a kid, I'm like, how am I supposed to believe that you're actually good? Because I only ever see you on your back.
I don't know. Like I said, around this time, I didn't see too much of Edge, so I can't really comment. I'm just going off of what I know him like later on in his career when I thought he was really good in his later career. But in this match, I feel like a lot of people were into him. I don't know if that was necessarily because he was absolutely like amazing. I'll say, just going off my gut feeling, this is not him at his absolute best, but just his look and his character. He just oozes like late 90s, early 2000s, and that's probably the exact reason why he is such a big deal.
I liked the match, but hated the story it tried to tell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The crowd, for at least until the last few minutes, felt kind of eh. They did not seem quite as into it. But that kind of made me think, well, what was the whole setup for this? Like, what was the setup for this match? Like, there was no title. They didn't really talk about too much of stakes or anything. Like, Eddie Guerrero came out and pointed out his thong or anything. Like, why did this match exist? Levi, fill me in on that real quick before we move on.
Well, they were feuding.
They were just
on SmackDown.
Just general feud. Like, I'm better than you. No, you're not.
It was Ray and Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt was with Benoit and Eddie. They were kind of a little stable, unofficially.
Yeah.
I mean, later on, soon, Kurt and Chris Benoit, they form a tag team. Eddie's feuding with Edge and Ray with Kurt and Chavo,
Yeah.
They're just the six of those guys are feuding, essentially.
Okay. They're all just all connected through other people, and they're all just pissed at each other just because it's wrestling. I get it.
I think the more intricate details are like Eddie is jealous of Edge. Eddie's just, but that's generally his character. Eddie's just generally jealous.
Okay.
He's trying to prove that he's the best. And so Edge being like a top rising star, that makes sense.
Okay, well that clears it up a bit. So before we move on, Levi, kind of what's your feel? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I'm giving it a thumbs in between.
I'm giving it a fist. Neither thumbs up or thumbs down. It's just right in the middle.
It's a SmackDown match.
Yeah, I mean it was fine. I mean they did some good stuff. I really liked the whole how they sold submissions. I thought that was kind of nice. But yeah, it was kind of meh. Moving on. They so before they get to the Un-Americans, they play that weird little vignette. I'm guessing just by context, just making fun of the MLB strike that was going on at the time. Was that it?
I guess. I'm not even aware of the strike. I just know that they referenced it.
As the thing, at first I thought they were talking about the NFL or something, and I was like, oh, is this Vince taking shots at them because XFL? And I'm like, no, XFL was 2001. They're dead by now. And it was like, WWE, we don't take off seasons. We never complain about unfairness. We never complain about this. We're cooler than you. And it was obviously directed at somebody. It was like really ham-fisted. And then later on, like, I remember Michael Cole I think it was Michael Cole and Taz, they were just offhandedly be like, oh yeah, the MLB strike. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay. This is them this is the #hashtag bad guy versus good guy, kind of them trying to get some relevancy for everybody who doesn't care.
Right.
But it was really weird. I'm surprised you didn't notice that.
No, I noticed it. I just didn't think it was worthy of noting. I don't guess.
I just thought it was really weird. It just stuck out to me. You can cut this part, but whatever.
No, that's fine. But yeah, backstage with them, Christian says that they can't wait to expose Booker T and Goldust. Only problem is they have to do it with...
Wait, hold on. You didn't even say who is doing the talking. You gotta introduce them.
I said Christian.
Oh. Okay, I thought... Well, you said Christian, but you gotta be specific. It's the Un-Americans.
I said the Un-Americans.
You did not say you said the Un-Americans once 50 years ago, Levi. We're really cutting back that far after our whole conversation? No.
Okay, if I am wrong when I go back and edit this, I'll give you a can of Coke.
There you go.
So anyway, let's just try it again. Backstage.
Try again.
We cut backstage with the Un-Americans. Christian says that they can't wait to expose Booker T and Goldust. Only problem is they have to do it in Long Island. Boo!
Oh, boo! Hey, that's America! Hey!
Lance Storm says they're lazy and spoiled, and Christian says that they don't appreciate world-class athletes like them. They always want more, and they'll give them more of the Un-Americans as World Tag Champs. So up next we have Booker T and Goldust versus Lance Storm and Christian.
I don't buy the Un-Americans. I think they're incredibly lame. I do not like them. They're so lame.
I mean, I guess they're just a product of the time. Post 9/11, we hate America.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, it feels so forced. It's like, okay, America, oh yeah. Is this before that, what was his name? Not Terrorist Man?
Muhammad Hassan?
Muhammad Hassan, yeah. Is this before or after Muhammad Hassan?
It's way before.
Way before. It's like, they were like, okay, well, how about we get a terrorist character? Ooh, Vince. Ooh, it's not quite a year yet. That'll be really insensitive, I guess. Whatever. I don't care. Well, how about we get some people not from America? Where? France? No, we don't have French wrestlers. Well, we got a lot of those Canadians. Those damn Canadians. It's like, I just don't buy it.
I like to imagine Vince is just always that way.
It's like, they're not American. They probably just hate us. Throw them in there.
I guess that's just how I'm perceiving this.
I guess so. I mean, the thing that didn't help was you say, like, that's why I asked you, were they booed on SmackDown and Raw? Because at this pay-per-view, people did not care, I will say.
Yeah, I guess they didn't, did they?
I did not hear nigh a single boo for them. I mean, I'm sure there were, but it was not like, it was nowhere near like the nuclear boos you get with Roman Reigns or something.
Oh, no.
It was like nothing.
Indifference.
It felt like indifference. It really took the wind out of their sails. I did not take them seriously. Especially, another thing I'll add is, what made me go like, was that, Edge and Christian were a big thing together. And then here we got Christian coming after Edge, a fellow Canadian, just won a big old match. It just feels like it makes them that less credible. That's just me. It's like, oh, boo, America sucks. We are Canada. I mean, I guess you could argue, well, they're not saying Canada's better, that just America sucks, but I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
The Un-Americans defected to Raw prior to this, and I think it's a perfect fit. Lance Storm was cutting a promo one week, and Jim Ross is just flipping out over the upside-down American flag.
I know. If there's one thing I could say, is that Jim Ross was selling the crap out of them. Like, every chance he could get. Like, I don't like them. Blah,
I think it stemmed... I mean, yeah, that's why it's perfect. You have two Southern boys and Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. It's like, I like the American flag. And so, on that Raw, it was so perfect. I found myself laughing out loud because Lance Storm, in his promo, was running down celebrities, starting with Elvis. And Jerry's like, oh, hey, wait a minute. And, Jerry's like the heel guy, so now Jerry doesn't like you. Which gives them more heat.
And then he went, and your terrible American food, like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, Oklahoma barbecue. No, come on!
After he runs down Elvis, he then runs down John Wayne.
Hey, wait a minute.
And Jim Ross is like, hey, come on. and John Wayne is like Jim Ross's hero. So it's like worse than barbecue sauce.
I would never have guessed.
I tweeted Lance Storm. I shared this with you last week. I was like, I wonder why that is. And Lance Storm said it was likely Vince taking shots at him.
It's, low-hanging fruit.
So, Un-Americans are billed from Canada. Just Canada. I found that to be vague.
That gross un-American country, Canada.
Yeah, the upside-down American flag is the universal symbol of distress. Didn't know if you knew that or not. Goldust and Christian start, and Goldust does his little butt bump move.
The highlight of this entire match was just the chemistry between Goldust and Booker T. Like, just, I love him. I love him so dang much.
And that's what they've been building to, you know, when the Raw's leading up to, is just like how close they are.
They work so well together. Like, and I know most of this match was just like Goldust getting his ass handed to him, but like, you could just see the anguish in Booker T, like, oh, come on, you know?
That's my friend. He's gold.
My friend! My friend!
We want the gold, sucker. Goldust takes a nasty bump to the outside, and Christian attacks him there. Christian taunts Booker while they work over Goldust. And then he reverses into a roll-up and tries a hot tag, but is denied by the Christian. The crowd rally for Goldust to tag in, and Lance has the ref distracted when Goldust tags Booker T. And Nick Patrick is all like... Yeah?
I was going to say, that got me too. Like, I was like, oh yeah, time for Booker, and he came in, and all of a sudden the ref's like, no, you're not legal. And I was like, oh, come on! Crystal was too. Crystal was actually into this match when she kind of stopped playing her DS and started watching it.
Dude,
she loves Goldust, surprisingly.
Man. I mean, how can you not like Goldust? Goldust catapults Christian into Lance Storm. I liked that.
Yeah.
Goldust tried to get the crowd into it, but no one claps. It was really weird. Like, they just did, and they didn't do it when he tried. It was weird. Goldust is coming out of his suit. It's busted at his armpits.
I didn't notice that.
He's a little too big for it.
I thought you were going to say his gut.
It's like Zap Brannigan and Futurama just...
Come on, Girdle. Hold.
Concerto attempt failed, and Goldust responds with a double clothesline. USA! USA!
That was great. Whenever they clacked those chairs, like, it was like, oh yeah! Yeah, he's getting it now!
And then we get our hot tag to Booker.
Finally, Booker.
He's just whooping down on Christian.
I gotta say, like, the number one thing I currently love about doing this podcast is it reminds me exactly why I loved Booker T when I was younger. He's just so damn fun. Like, in the little things, he's just so animated. Like, when he punches, he's just like, ugh, ugh. It's like, I don't want to say robotic, but his movements are just so, like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
He's so into it.
The interesting thing about Booker T is, I had my action figures back in the day, and for the most part, they came with their hands closed, like like a fist.
Yeah.
But Booker was the only one I had with open hands.
So you can make him do the spinneroonie. You could look at his hands and count to 5.
Booker needs those hands, darn it.
He's got to count. How many times to the champion would you know he would be?
Exactly. Scissors kick into an unprettier, into a face plant. Lots of reversal there. And then we get our spinner-rooney.
I know. I love the spinner. I used to be able to do it. I don't know if I can now. I bet
really?
Yeah, I could. People.
Dang,
I remember being in middle school. It was when I moved to my new school with the John School. I remember people would actually be like, "Oh," because I could do two things. I could do the spinner-rooney, and I could do the MC Hammer dance where he shuffles from side to side.
You're a product of your time.
There you go.
So to close this match, Lance Storm tries to use the belt to win. Test interferes with the big boot to Booker, and the Un-Americans win as a result.
Oh no, you missed it. You missed the cool Booker spot.
What happened?
He gets both Christian and Lance. He gets them both in the gut. They're both leaning down. He gets a double scissors kick on him.
Oh yeah,
that was so awesome.
How did I miss that?
I just like, when I think Booker T, just how big and how tall he is, like, I forget, like, how much distance, like, how high in the air he could get that leg for a scissor kick. It was the best.
And he can cover so much, too.
He can. He is, why? Why, Triple H? Why did you have to keep the gold off him?
Oh, man. But yeah, thumbs up, down, in between. Where's this at?
I have to say thumbs down. No, I'm just kidding. It was a big thumbs up. This match was fun. Like, to me, it It's like fun factor wise, this was definitely the match of the night. And I mean like pure like almost comical fun, not like, whoa, this match, anything could happen fun, you know?
Dude, I gotta get you a Booker T shirt.
I know. I love Booker T. Like, I'm a Booker T mark.
Man.
Except for when he became King Booker. Screw that Booker T. That's when I died. That's when I died inside.
Booker.
King Booker. Stop doing that, Booker T. Get your wife out of the show. She's terrible.
But we cut to the world where Nydia is gonna make out with someone. Yeah, fellas.
Yeah. Two obvious plants.
Jerry tells JR to confess how many times he entered the contest. And he says, a couple. Jamie Noble calls the guys New York strip steak. And as a meat cutter, I appreciated that. Aww. And she makes out with some guy. The end.
Hot take. What's your favorite steak cut?
New York is up there. But ribeye.
Ribeye's a classic. It's because it's the
Cadillac
best of all worlds. How much subscriber? No. Anyways, moving on. Nydia, this whole weird strip steak guys. Jamie Noble basically just goes like, "Oh, get him, girl! I'm gonna sick him!" And she just jumps on him, and it's like, like they're not even. It doesn't even seem like making out so much as just furiously mashing faces, and it's very off-putting.
She's eating his face.
Yeah, it is really gross. And like I was trying to explain to Crystal the story of seeing Jamie Noble in a gas station because that was more entertaining. But she was distracted by how weirdly gross and uncomfortable the segment was.
Quickly tell our audience about the time we met Jamie Noble.
Okay, so we went to Monday Night Raw a few years back. I don't remember the exact date, but it was whenever Leonard Nimoy died, because I remember seeing that afterwards. So Google when Leonard Nimoy died. You'll know when we were at Raw if you want to know for some reason. Anyways, we stop at a gas station afterwards, and me and Levi go in, get a drink, just kind of look around. And we see a guy who obviously is like a WWE, like, I don't know, like an official or just like a dude, you know, one of the guys, black shirts that works for him, just walking around. And we're like, hey, that guy looks kind of official. And then as we're kind of heading more towards the door, we see a dude in a hood with a phone kind of slinking around. He looks mildly suspicious, so it's probably why he stood out, you know, despite the fact that he was trying to blend in. Looked a little closer, and I realized that's Jamie Noble. So I turned to Levi. I'm like, Levi, look, I think that's Jamie Noble. And you're like, oh. So as we're leaving, Levi just kind of turns, catches eyes, and goes, hey, Jamie. And he waves back. And then he runs off into the night, never to be seen again.
I will never forget the look on his face as he is recognized. And he's
it's like a deer in the headlights look. He's like, no, please, I just want to get a soda pop. Like, it was obvious that what he was doing was pointing out what he wanted to the official man that we had seen in the shirt so he could buy it and bring it to his, like, wherever he was driving or whatever. But it was just really weird just to catch him at a gas station.
And Joey Mercury was there somewhere, too.
He was in the bathroom. I heard him.
He's taking a dump.
Taking a big dump. So this is the quality humor you get from Ruthless Aggression Podcast.
Anyway,
after this,
Chris Benoit versus.
You missed the riveting segment between Stephanie McMahon and what's his face backstage.
Literally, all I have is cut to Steph and Bischoff's boring banter. That's all I have.
And so it was boring. The only thing that was about it that was anything interesting was the really terrible forced sexual innuendo, where he was like, my division's doing pretty good, you and your women. And she's like, oh yeah, well, women in the WWE always are on top, or something like that. To which I was like, gross, sex pun. And then also like, lol, XD, no, they're not for many years.
It's Chris Benoit versus Rob Van Dam.
I immediately noticed Chris Benoit's blurry belt on the WWE Network since we watched it. I guess they
What
just didn't,
might that mean?
I guess they just didn't get the F out.
Which I find strange, but maybe we'll have an explanation down the road.
I'm sure it's just like, hey, your old content, you can legally show the Fs from this date back, and then everything after this date forward, they can't. So whenever they're officially the E, I guess, the F, they can't show it. It's scary.
Maybe. But anyway, that's a theory. We start the match with kicks from RVD, and JR calls them scintillating kicks. Found that very strange. Benoit reverses the dragon leg sweep, springboard crossbody by RVD. German suplex by Benoit, and he begins to work over RVD as a result. JR wishes Benoit hadn't gone to SmackDown. I was just like, oh, that's sweet. Backbreaker by Benoit, and I noticed a cat in the hat in the audience.
He's probably holding a Cartman sign, too. You should have paid more attention.
Inside cradle by RVD, near fall. Monkey flip by Van Dam, immediately met with a clothesline by Benoit. It's very stiff. Split-legged moonsault.
That's Benoit for you.
It's just too strong. You're scary. You're scary, Benoit.
Yep.
Benoit
I'll say he's scary.
No. RVD almost immediately misses the 5-star frog splash. He's then met with a crippler crossface. And RVD's just getting worked over for the most part of this match.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's just the way Benoit and Guerrero told their stories in their matches, or if that was like the norm in the WWE for the most part. I'd like to think it's more of the former.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's just kind of like, with RVD, it's always more fun to watch him just like, you never know when he's going to just slip back in and get the lead, you know, old Flippy boy.
We get a quick cut to Stephanie and Bischoff. It's very unnecessary.
And it was very forced reaction. Like, they're like, oh, we're on now. And he's like, yeah, go get him, Benoit, or whatever she said. It felt very, very robotic and forced.
Benoit pushes RVD from the top rope on the outside onto the barricade. And then he rams RVD into the steel post. RVD does like an awesome naked chokehold reversal, but Benoit nixes that. He just is like on top of things.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Light suplex into another Northern Light suplex into another one. We get a crossface, and then RVD catches a break and reverses into a crossface of his own.
Ooh. Intensity.
Benoit's owning this match, though, because like he's met with like a drop kick soon after. RVD with my only recollection of him with his hair down, and I liked it better.
It's just different, you know.
Maybe.
Sometimes you gotta let your hair down, girl.
Yes. He hits a Rolling Thunder on Benoit with the spinning heel kick to follow. And then a monkey flip reverse, and RVD is split on the crotch by Benoit on the top rope.
Oh, jeez.
Little ouchie spot. Super back body drop reversed into crossbody by Van Dam. All these moves, man, they're just like, it's very move field, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of rest holds in this one.
No.
RVD goes for the 5-star frog splash, hits it, and we have a new Intercontinental Champion.
Yay, Rived. What did you think overall, Levi?
It's a very good match. I was reminded of why Benoit bored me as a kid, though, because, you know, while this was a good match and I could appreciate why it was a good match here, objectively, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm going to say, to me, this was as a child, I guess I could say I was watching this through child eyes, because at this point, while watching the pay-per-view, I got distracted by something, and so I was just catching this match kind of in and out, and it just kind of like, nothing really stood out to me, so that's really it. The only things that really kind of were a thing to me in this match was that Crystal commented about RVD that he was very flippy. She said that several times. Like, he'd do top rope moves or just, dives and rolls, and you'd be like, he's flippy. That's what she'd say. But yeah, it's not like I wasn't entirely just not paying attention to this. It's just that I just had points when I was kind of in and out, and just when I was in, it didn't grab me, and when I was out, I didn't really care to look back. So, just kind of okay.
Man, hot take from Crystal. He's flippy.
He's flippy, man. RVD's not going to like that.
Yeah, I mean, all that being said, like, I did appreciate the match for what it was. For them to, like, go that long and not do that many rest holds, I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, to be fair, if I go back and actually give it proper time to watch, I'm sure I'd be like, that was a very solid match. That was a very good show from both of them, because they're both consistently, like, very, very solid performers. It's just that sometimes they lack, like, the big-time wow factor unless they're in, you know, something special's going on. Kind of like a specialty match or something. But
I don't get it, though, because this is back-to-back pay-per-view losses for Benoit now, where he was dominant most of the match.
Yeah, I guess you better ask Vince, Levi.
Because now that leaves that the only titles on SmackDown are the world title and the Cruiserweight title. Whereas Raw, well, they don't have a world title up to this point, I don't guess. They have all the other... Okay, I guess it evens out.
Yeah, it's always going to even out. At least in the end, anyways. Because they have the Undisputed title. Like, what are the main titles? Isn't Undisputed supposed to be a combination of all the titles?
They go back to Raw and SmackDown. They have one world champion, and that's how it works.
Oh, so it just always flops back and forth? That's weird. Anyways, next.
So we cut back to Eric and Stephanie, and she said, and like she's mad, and he is gloating, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
The end.
So up next we have The Undertaker versus Test.
Yeah, they had this big hype package before, just, I guess, kind of hyping how bad the Un-Americans are. It's like, they're really like, they're bad! Look at how bad they are! And then when Test actually came out, it was like, oh, it's Test. Nobody reacted in the way I'm sure they wanted them to.
Look, Kyle, you don't understand. When they said America sucks in unison, the whole world felt it. America sucks.
And everybody across the world is just screaming in pain. No, it's not true.
My favorite part of it, though, of like the opening package is, you know, they have that old stock footage of patriotism. Then a minor key Sith note hits, and it's like, bomb! Un-Americans, they hate America.
It's like an old World War II newsreel.
Did you see, you know, when they say America sucks in the package, right in the middle, there's a guy in the crowd plain as day, flipping double birds?
No, I did not notice that. That's funny.
He's very open.
Before we get in the match, one thing I will say is the title card they had before, where it just, you know, it does the whole, like, they wiggle around and then freeze frame, and it shows, you know, Undertaker versus Test. They both were looking in the exact same height, similar builds, and they were both doing the same pose. Like, they looked like they were related at that point. Did you get that vibe, too?
I did.
Like Undertaker versus his son that he never knew he had.
The Overgiver.
No! I'm the Overgiver, Dad, and you can't stop me. Live in despair. No!
Put that on a t-shirt, darn it. So the Undertaker on the go-home show to SummerSlam cuts, I kid you not, the worst promo I have ever heard from him. I have it down word for word, and I'm just going to cut a promo on you, and I want to know what you think about it when it's all said and done.
Undertaker's promo?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, if there's one thing I remember from the American Badass, it's his amazing promos.
So pretend you're Test, and I'm the Undertaker, okay? And let me know what you think at the end of it.
All right. What do you got to say, Undertaker? I'm Test.
Well, Test is not out there at this point, but you'll see.
Well, I'm watching this later on that night on WWE.com.
You're watching it from the side of your eye.
I'm watching it backstage while I stand looking at a big tube TV, conveniently next to a man filming me.
Oh, yeah. The first thing I want to say is I've never been one to make my political opinions public. And I may not be the poster child for the all-American boy, but I just might be. Because just like my country, I don't take no He says it, and it's unbleeped. That's the very reason that I'm proud to be a man, and I'm proud to be an American. Because only in America can a man like me be me. If I want to be a tattooed, fire-breathing dragon, then that's all right by you. I can do what I can do whatever I want to say, whatever I want, and all I got to do is back it up with these soup bones.
With these what?
Soup bones.
Okay.
You see, these are the freedoms I enjoy here in America. But you see, I realize those freedoms come with a price. I realize there's a lot of good men and women who fought and died to give me them rights. And because of that, I have a deep and abiding respect for those individuals. And because of that respect, I got a deep, deep problem with those individuals who come into our country and abuse those freedoms. I'm talking about people who aren't even citizens of USA. That's right. I'm talking about the un-Americans, and especially Test. You see, Test, I'm not afraid to pledge allegiance.
It's okay, Levi. Take a deep breath. You can get through it.
I'm not afraid to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. This is where it gets good.
Okay, that's what he says, not what you say?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's a quote.
That's where it gets good.
I'm also not afraid to pledge to each and every one of you that at SummerSlam, I will take Test and make an example out of him. Not only for all of you, but for everyone around the world. This is what happens when you screw with America. No, I'm not your all-American boy, but I am the American bad A-double snake. The end.
Gosh, wow. That's like the promo equivalent of just like getting on Facebook and you see your like weird uncle you never talked to just post something like, I might not be politically correct, but Obama can shove it, you know?
This is the worst Undertaker promo I have ever heard.
That was really lame. Oh my gosh. Like, to be fair, I'm sure people were like eating it up back then. Because I probably would have too. It's like, yeah, America! Ah! But
they were eating it up, but I will say this, that when he says this line, which really got me, if I want to be a tattooed, fire-breathing dragon, then that's all right by you.
So
what?
It's like, if I want to be a leprechaun who eats cheesecake for dinner, then that's all right by you. Like, what are you talking about?
The crowd are eating it up, but when he says that, they're like,
it's like he's trying to sound cool, but it's not. It's like, man.
If I want to be a tattooed, fire-breathing dragon, well, that's all right with you. Right with me.
And that's one of the things that just did not age well. It's just the American badass.
Oh my gosh. And
I guess that's it. I think we cracked the code. Just looking back, it was like, it was just cool. It was like that post 9/11 thing when every single person in the U.S. was high on like America vibes, and everybody was like all together. And if anybody just waved a flag, you would just be like, yes, yes. And he just epitomized that, I guess.
Yeah, because I don't remember a single thing he said. I just remembered he beat up people and like
exactly
that was and he rode a motorcycle. And that was cool.
That's all he needed, man. He's the epitome of freedom. But now looking back, he just looks like a dumpy dad. He tries to sound tough, but he doesn't.
Oh my word! Yeah, like I said, worst promo he ever did.
Yeah, he's a lot better at just being spooky and not saying much.
Test comes out to his music and like a jet motorcycle, so it's like the anti-motorcycle. And Test, with the line of his career, in my opinion, after that promo, he comes out and says, you know, for a long time I thought it was only America that sucks. Now I realize you do too.
Oh my god, this is so lame. It's like somebody's like, you're ugly. No, you. Oh.
I'm gonna be honest though, like with the context of like this promo is awful and him coming out and saying that, it's like, man, I just thought it was America, but it's you after that. That made me laugh. That's probably not what he meant. He probably meant it more the way you did, but yeah. The end. So, in the match, I will note that Undertaker does a leapfrog, and I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, that was actually pretty impressive. I gotta say, like, as far as positives go, just chime in real quick. Undertaker at this point, still pretty agile. Not like crazy, but more than you think. And then Test, given his size. He's as big as the Undertaker. He was just jumping around and fast, man. He's really agile.
I like Test, but at the same time, I don't like Test.
I like him because I felt like he has like a lot of potential, but I never felt like he really lived up to it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that.
The biggest thing I think people take away from him is just that match with like, who was it, like Hardcore Holly in WWE CW? Wasn't that him? Wasn't that
maybe.
Test in Hardcore Holly?
You talking about where Hardcore Holly's back?
Yeah, got split open.
No, that's RVD.
No, that wasn't RVD.
Record scratch. It was, in fact, RVD.
Yeah, it was RVD. Hardcore Holly was a heel, and then they turned him face after that happened.
Hold on. Back split. Oh, well, dang. Really? Cut this part out. I sound foolish.
Don't worry, bruh. I got you.
I must be confusing two other matches because I know they fought back then.
I'm sure
I think Test came back pretty new at that time, and they tried giving him a decent little ECW push, and it was against Hardcore Holly, and I bet they were just pimping up the fact that he was in the emergency room for having a split open back.
Yeah, because like I said, they turned him face after it.
That's probably it. Anyways, stupid, you don't even know wrestling, you're dumb.
Undertaker goes for the old school. Test shoves the referee into Taker, and Taker hits the ropes with his berries.
Oh.
There's a sore spot with Test sending Undertaker into the steps, and Taker just flies over them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. He was just like... Test was really handling Undertaker. Manhandling.
So one cool move that he does is like he whips them into the corner and follows them as they run into it and meets them with a clothesline as soon as they get there. And I don't know why more people don't do that. Like, that's a really cool move to do.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like a big old exclamation point. It's nice. I think you just have to have the size for it. You know, you couldn't imagine somebody like, I don't know, Rey Mysterio doing it. That's a bad example, but you know, a smaller guy I couldn't imagine doing it.
Just a little bitty Rey Mysterio. I'm gonna get you.
Crowd is taking a bathroom break on this one. I have here noted. It's just really boring.
It was. We can just cut to the end. Was there anything really worth note? It kind of ended like your typical Undertaker match.
I mean, yeah, it's not that long. He goes for a snake eyes and a failed big boot. Undertaker tries to choke slam him. Test fights out of it. But, I mean, he does it again, gets the boot, but then choke slams him. Test kicks out, though.
It was kind of like an awkward choke slam. I mean, Undertaker's way better choke slamming tinier guys as displayed in like a minute.
I guess the biggest things here are the Un-Americans interfere, but Taker like takes them out.
Taker
living up to his name.
Yeah. And I don't know who it was first. It was either Lance or Christian, but whoever got the choke slam first sold it super well. They jumped like 10 feet in the air. I love it.
Yeah. They both did it really good, honestly.
Yeah, they both were solid. I appreciate guys that sell it well, because I hate whenever somebody gives a choke slam and they just barely pop off the ground. It just looks so stupid.
Test tries to use a chair, but it backfires. And then we get a tombstone by Undertaker, and he wins.
The end.
And I love seeing the tombstone. But yeah, he celebrates with the American flag, and he's like, I'm a fire-breathing dragon, boy.
Yeah, he was like, okay, this match wasn't that great, but look, it's a flag, everybody. You
then
like it?
He spits fire at everybody.
And then his wings spread out his back, and he just flies out.
I don't need a motorcycle anymore.
See, King kept his word. The fire-breathing dragon kept his word. What if that's like what they tried to do after that? Tried making like shirts with that phrase on it, and it showed Undertaker like all silhouetted with like giant wings on the back. I give it a very reasonable thumbs down.
Yeah,
not like hard thumbs down, just like It wasn't very good. It was eh.
I feel like it halted the flow of the show.
It did. Yeah, it felt awkward. I mean, when it comes to big dudes clashing, it's either like something like a spectacle, like, whoa, this is something, like, oh, or it's just kind of like awkward. And this was just kind of like that. I mean, I could say they tried, but it just,
It's not necessarily a bad match. It's just
no.
For the theme of the card, as we were talking about earlier, it doesn't fit well.
No.
And it's not that great of a match, honestly. So
yeah,
reasonable thumbs down for me too.
Yep. But I think they're going to say, well, yeah. As we were watching it, I didn't see Undertaker's little title card as he was coming out because I was taking a note, and Crystal pointed out, like, oh, Undertaker.com, and I was like, what? She's like, yeah. His little name thing under it said Undertaker.com. And so I was like, that's a thing? So I go on the internet and I type Undertaker.com and it just takes me to WWE's website. So I was like, oh, that existed. That was a thing at some point. And so
I did the same thing too.
So I went to the Wayback Machine, which is the Internet Archive. I went to Undertaker.com from about this time. And yeah, it took me to the archive of Undertaker.com. It was this weird little Undertaker specific site that just had Undertaker news specifically for the Undertaker.
Oh, so that worked? You were able to see it?
I'll send you a link, and you can put a link elsewhere for anybody listening who's interested. It's like it starts when you go. It has like a little page that it says you need Flash. I was on my phone, so maybe there's a Flash thing, and it just has like it's like American Badass or Dead Man Inc. I can't remember. Like it's like a little motorcycle club logo, and then you click it, and it's just this thing with this big old picture of Undertaker to the left, looking all cool. It says Undertaker, and then it has in the middle just news, just like Undertaker beat up a goat on Monday Night Raw, and then to the left it's like, go get the dead man's newest shirt, and then it was a bunch of wallpapers you could download, and they're still up there, and that's the one I sent you. It was real.
Oh heck yeah.
So yeah, get yourself a free Undertaker wallpaper. Just check the description or whatever of this podcast. I'm sure we can put the link there, right?
Yeah, time to get in the meat potatoes here, folks.
Yeah, this is where it gets real good. This is the goods. Prime cuts.
The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. And they have probably my favorite ever pre-match package. It's so real. Like, especially when Triple H is like, face facts, Shawn, you can't wrestle anymore. He used that dirty word, wrestle. And plus, Jim Johnston's magical song, Fight, just fits so well.
I'm sorry, I had to ask. That was in the original package, right?
Yes.
Okay, because, not to knock old Jimmy J, but I felt that song was a little lame.
No, don't say that.
It was just a little... Okay, I think it was mainly the guy who was singing it. It just felt kind of like a knockoff of a big band that you've actually heard. I don't remember who I was thinking, but it was just kind of, It didn't kill it. It was still a very good package. I thought it was really nice, but...
Right.
Anyways,
I get your reservations, but I thought I would hate it as I got older, but no, I only like it more. If anything, I hated it more then, and I liked it then. Because I think, mainly, I liked real songs, like... I don't know.
Yeah.
Like their new metal bands that they had all the time. Mm-hmm. 10 years, whatever.
It was cheesy, the new metal bands, to an extent. And even as a kid, I didn't quite like all of them. But it gave it more of a hard vibe, I'll say. And I miss it.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a lot better than going down for it.
Yeah, this is what the kids like, don't they? Come on.
Take a break, my ego.
So, lots of pyrotechnics and confetti for Mr. HBK.
No, I loved it. It looked like, I think some of the confetti cannons shot off before they're supposed to.
Either that or he didn't know when they were shooting off.
No, because it was still sizzling, like doing the sparklers behind him, and I already noticed there was confetti. And then as he walked, it was like shooting the cannons that go by him. And I noticed like a row just didn't do anything. It was like bang, 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 and I'm like, oh, they went off a little early. That sucks.
Interesting.
But whatever.
Yeah.
It was still. I noticed these little things. That's why you got me. But but it's still. It was a cool opening, man. Seeing Shawn back. This is his first like big match like since his big return, right?
Yes, in 4 years.
Yeah, and this genuinely felt like important. Like that's one thing I will say. Like you could cut the tension with a knife. Like they were telling a hardcore, like just a real story. Like you felt it on both sides, like the emotion.
Dude, every week leading up to it was just so good.
I bet. Like just the hype package made me go, man, I wish I would just go back and watch these Raws and just get this full story.
Like just the sound bites they used in the package, I've remembered all these years. Like the showstopper, the icon, you're not those things anymore. And just Sean via satellite, I'll never forget, like, man, we were living on High Street in Kenton, Tennessee, and he was like, Dr. Sal, I'll be 100%, I say, SummerSlam. And I'm just like, oh, he's coming back. Like, literally in my notes right here, I have Shawn Michaels, and that's probably going to be, like, my review of this match, is just me marking out that Shawn Michaels is back.
I know, for real. Like, ugh. I absolutely love it, because I love Shawn Michaels, and I sadly, at this point, I didn't really know about him. He was on Raw, so I couldn't really see him, at the time anyways, before I actually could watch Raw, and so I didn't really get to bathe in his glory until, like, you know, years later, but it's just nice to actually finally see, like, his career kind of go full circle, because since doing the podcast, yeah, I've actually gone back and watched a lot of Shawn's earlier stuff, like his, you know, before they got the attitude, and, you know, and man, just his journey is incredible. He's still, you know, my favorite wrestler, even more so now.
Wait, even more than Booker T?
Yeah, of course more than Booker T.
Dang,
Shawn Michaels doesn't have a King Booker moment, so of course.
Well, he does lose his smile, but I don't think they compare. He
loses his smile, but he gets it back.
Yeah, Booker still thinks he's a king, probably somewhere deep down.
Somewhere deep down. I feel bad. I wish Booker would have gotten like another run when he came back, but
The crowd's at like a fever pitch. Like they're ready. Mm-hmm. They're ready for this, and to start the match, which is non-sanctioned, it never happened. You know, Shawn spears him and does a clothesline to the outside.
That's the thing. The start to this, I noted, it's just fast and just intense. Like from the get-go, they're pulling off the gloves from the start, and it's just so great. Just so much energy, like between the two. It's like colliding, you know.
The differences between, you know, Benoit and RVD and Guerrero and Edge, you know, they told that story of like, I'm gonna work you over the whole time. This incorporates the theme of the show, the themes of the show leading up to it, like everything, and encapsulates it all into this one thing, where I'm going to get my hands on you, and I'm going to hurt you, and just like, it's so good. It communicates that so well, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. This is the definition of payoff. You get all these weeks after weeks, all this like teasing and stuff going back and forth, just building up this pressure, and this is finally when it just bam, just explodes.
Triple H soon takes advantage. He goes to get Shawn Michaels from inside to the outside, but HBK responds with a trash can lid hidden away.
Mm-hmm.
He skins the cat, and then Triple H, and then a top rope axe handle too. Old Trips. He goes for Sweet Chin Music, but is met with a backbreaker, and like that's the story of the match. Triple H is exposing what took him out all those years ago.
Mm-hmm. Logic would dictate that the back is long since healed and he's 100% fine, but he was telling a story. You know, there's continuity. He knew that his back was his weak point in the past, and he's exploiting the crap out of that in this match, and I loved it.
You get a hard hammer throw Irish whip, and that back is taking a beating.
Even when they are getting just, like, later on in the match, when they are kind of gassed just a bit, and, you know, they're getting real worn out, there's still just so much energy. Like, this is a very, like, rough back and forth.
Yeah, and to that point, like, JR put it over, like, very nicely by saying, a broken back never fully heals.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That line really, like, made me feel like, dang, Shawn Michaels is doing even more damage. He may be crippled.
Definitely. Like, if we're at a point in history where, you know, this is 2002, there's no future WWE, like, this was the most current event, I would be bona fide concerned for Shawn Michaels, the way they are working his back over.
Ugh. We get a crotch chop and a kick by Triple H. And he's like, oh, I don't like DX no more. There you go.
Now get out of here, Triple H.
Elbow drop to the back, and HBK sells it like he just got stabbed. He makes a noise. It's like, ugh. It's so bad.
Shawn Michaels is just the king at selling, like, the whole way through. Like, you could see the anguish in his face.
Look, Shawn Michaels is just the king, all right?
He's just the king, period. It's like there's nothing he's not good at.
And on that point, Jerry Lawler, the heel commentator, is emphatically in Shawn Michaels' corner on commentary.
It's like it's hard not to be. I mean, I'm glad too because it just sells his story that much further.
I mean, that's what happens when you're the king, you know? The minor kings have to recognize your greatness.
Because, I mean, that's the thing. Like, this whole match, like, you just get the feeling like, you know, Shawn, he's the betrayed friend. He's fighting just to prove that, you know, you're wrong. I'm awesome and you suck. And Triple H, he just feels like this gross, slimy, nasty guy. Like, I genuinely hated Triple H in this match. I was like, get out of here. Ugh. It also helped that he didn't have his mustache. He looks gross without a mustache.
Yeah, he's clean shaven. The heel.
I don't like clean shaven Triple H. You got to have that facial hair.
But not that handlebar thing he had.
The handlebar looks
like
hokey. He's like, hey, I look like Lemmy, right? No, you look kind of weird.
Anyway, Jerry Lawler says kickouts will be few and far between for Shawn Michaels due to the back. Good job, Jerry. Jerry's so good when he wants to be.
Vince is probably in his ear going, no, stop it. Stop being good. Talk about puppies. I don't even like dogs. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. So Triple H takes Shawn's belt and starts whipping him with it, like, legit. It's hard to watch.
I know. Like, when he... man, that's the point when I started to go, geez, when is he going to let up on his back? Now I'm genuinely concerned.
Yeah, he gets busted open at some point, and he takes, his belt buckle and starts chipping away at that wound.
Yeah, I was about to say, whenever, he slapped him over the back with it real hard, and it was like, ew, and then he just wraps around his hand and starts wailing on his head.
Ugh. It's hard. He brings up the sledgehammer, and Earl Hebner tries to stop it.
I thought that was pretty intense. Like, I liked it. I liked that they acknowledged that Shawn and Earl actually have mild history.
Yeah. I didn't catch that, if they said something about it.
I can't remember if they said anything. I don't know if they explicitly, implied it, but, they just kind of let you know. I mean, obviously, screw job, tee. But I thought that was really neat how he was just like, enough's enough! Come on! Stop it! Every time he'd go for Shawn's back... once again, it's just them telling that story, pushing that much harder, making you hate Triple H that much more, and rooting for Shawn that much more. The fact that even the ref is like, cut it out, you're a douche.
You're going to kill this guy, is the vibe.
You're going to kill him. I'm going to break him in half, tee-hee, I'm Triple H.
So Shawn Michaels is trying to, desperately fight back, and then Triple H sends him into the corner and then into an abdominal stretch. Earl Hebner berates Triple H for holding the ropes, even though it's pointless,
It's perfectly legal.
But it, kind of like Ric Flair tried to do earlier, it puts over how brutal the match is. It's
I thought that was actually a really cool thing, doing that abdominal stretch and then getting that for leverage. I'm like, jeez.
It was good psychology by the cerebral assassin.
Say what you will about Triple H, but that man, he is a master of his craft.
He knows what to do.
He knows.
HBK gets crotched, the ref getting pushed into the ropes. His back becomes vulnerable and falling forward, and Triple H hits his back with a chair.
Ouchies.
Triple H sets up the chair and hits a backbreaker onto it.
That was just like, ow. And the sad thing is, whenever he just hit him with the chair, Crystal was like, that's gonna hurt. And I was like, oh, well, whenever they do, I was trying to be logical. I was like, when they do chair shots, the follow through, they usually try to phone it in, so it doesn't really hurt all that much. And then he went and did the backbreaker through the standing chair, and I'm like, yeah, I can't really explain that. That's gotta hurt a lot. And then I loved how Triple H went and picked the chair up and then kind of flattened it as much as he could and then stomped it so it'd go even flatter just so he could use it again. That was so good.
Yeah. Gosh, man. It just tells, due to in part them just wailing on each other, it just tells that story even better.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing, I know we're not, at the end or anything, but one thing I can say, just thinking about it right now, I like the flow of this match. There's no, in some matches, it feels like there are kind of big, pieces. Undertaker's fighting him and he's getting hurt. Oh, he reversed him. Now the other guy's getting hurt. With Triple H and Shawn, it's like one thing would lead to another, to another, to another, to another. It just flowed so well. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they could have phoned it in if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
There was like, yeah, they just no phoning in. Like, everything had purpose.
So Shawn Michaels miraculously kicks out after all that.
After all that.
Yeah, like you said, he did a sidewalk slam onto it after, like, he's re-straightening it out.
Honestly, like, after seeing that, that has to be one of my favorite just little touches in wrestling ever. Just hitting him in the back of the chair, then slamming him a backbreaker onto the chair, and then folding it, smashing it flat, and then slamming him on it again. That's great.
So sore. But
I would give Shawn Michaels a big ol' hug afterwards for being such a good guy.
yeah, and like he just keeps kicking out. Like Triple H is like, "Oh, I'm trying to beat you," and like he can't.
It's like he can't break Shawn, baby. Literally and figuratively.
Triple H goes for a pedigree on the chair, but Shawn Michaels pulls out a big old low blow.
He hits him in the berries.
And Triple H is like, "My berries."
My berries.
I don't know why I sound like the burn victim from Key and Peele.
I was about to say, yeah, my berries.
Preaching music into the chair, into Triple H's face.
Ooh, this is when the match started to turn a bit more in Shawn's favor.
Definitely. Triple H gets busted open, and
that was like Howie.
Shawn does a kip up, and Jerry's like, blah, 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 and Jerry's like, "Rrr." It's so good to see them like marking out on commentary.
It's hard not to, man. Just like thinking back now, it's like this is one of those matches that the more you sit and think about it, the more you let it soak in, the more you're like, damn, that was good. Shawn Michaels' return, like they treated it as big as it really was, you know, because it's like the guy at this point, he was retired for what, like 4 years or something?
Yeah,
4 or 5. His big return was just it lived up to the promise, and just seeing it, like, I get chills, baby.
So Shawn sends Triple H flying over the top rope, and then we get a trash can lid shot to him. HBK starts whipping him with the belt, little payback spot. And I have here Triple H's blood is everywhere.
I know, like, once again, for those at home, this Crystal I keep mentioning, she is my longtime girlfriend, current fiance, future wife, and she'll sit on the couch next to me, and you know she'll like plan her Nintendo Switch or something, or her Nintendo DS, or her Nintendo NES. No, I'm just kidding, not really. But while I watch the pay-per-view and take notes and stuff, and so little by little she's passively, I could say, somewhat gotten into wrestling, and at this point she was just like, "Oh God, he's just bleeding so much," and she just would not let it go. Like every time she looked up and saw Triple H, she was appalled at how much he was bleeding. And I was like, that's just how it goes. That's how it goes.
I'm right there with you, Crystal. It was gross.
Yeah, it was, oh wow, you know.
So Michael Cole does his classic hide when they brawl near the announce table. HBK does a lap around the ring to bulldog Triple H on the steps. I liked that one. Shawn Michaels uses the ladder like a battering ram to take down Triple H and then proceeds to ram it into his tummy. Howard Finkel scurries over to his area. Baseball slide into the ladder from Triple H, or to Triple H. Superplex from Shawn Michaels, and he wisely lands on his side so his back doesn't take the impact.
Good job. That's smart.
Triple H gets a high knee in. Drop toe hold into the steps. Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Clothesline to the outside, and Triple H gets knee wrenched in the ladder. Or his knee wrenched into the ladder. It's an accidental spot, and it could have been terrible.
And we all know what happens to Triple H's knee.
So Shawn Michaels gets the table, and then a little fire extinguisher action.
Which was nice because, like, the crowd at that point was chanting for tables. So that was satisfying. He delivered.
They're working it, so, like, they know what they're doing, for sure.
They know. They're the masters of their craft. Like a painter's brush on a canvas. They knew what they were painting.
The Bob Ross of the WWE, Shawn Michaels, sets Triple H on the table. And he goes to the top rope, And he does a little thing like, yeah, I'm nuts. And then he hits a crossbody to the outside into the table. And then he sets up a ladder, climbs up, and he says, I love all of you. And hits an elbow on Triple H. Such a cool spot. And Jerry says, he still got it. HBK tunes up the band. And he rolls up Triple H for the win. Jerry has lost his crap. As the match ends, Shawn Michaels kisses Earl Hebner's head. And
I thought that was funny.
It's like, yeah, my boy. I'm glad you wrestled.
It's like, thanks for having my back, Earl.
But as Shawn Michaels is celebrating, Triple H attacks with a sledgehammer.
Triple H hit Shawn Michaels. Get that away from me. Get that hammer away. No. For God's sakes, no. Get somebody out here.
I took this spot so seriously as a kid.
Super seriously.
Like, I couldn't believe
now
he
with
did
HD,
that.
now with the WWE Network, full HD, we can see that it is very much a fake sledgehammer. But it was still really cool to see Triple H use a sledgehammer like how it's supposed to be used for once.
Yeah, instead of putting his hand over it every time.
Because the thing is, that's the note I took. One of the first notes I had, whenever he brought it out, I wrote down, has Triple H ever used a sledgehammer like it's supposed to? And I was telling that to Crystal, like, because she was like, what, a sledgehammer? I'm like, yeah, he puts his hand over it, or he goes for it, but somebody moves, you know. But no, he bona fide used it on Shawn. And, I mean, even though knowing it's fake, tee-hee, wrestling, it still looked brutal, you know?
Just the sound it makes, like, splat. It's so bad.
I mean, watching live, you would have been like, oh my god, he murdered him.
Yeah, dude, like, me as a kid, like, I thought he was done. You know,
like Shawn Michaels, officially retired.
I emphatically bought into kayfabe.
What would you do if he just, like, after that, like, kicked up and just did a super kick on him? Would you be like, oh, boo, fake?
That's a good question. I think that I would have made sense in my head, honestly.
No. If it was Roman Reigns, he would have jumped up and then said ooh-ah and done like 100 Superman punches for the win. And anyways, this match, Levi.
This feud is far from over, though.
Oh yeah, you get that. You get like, oh, this is very far from over, and I love that. That's just something I miss. I know it gets done still, you know. I feel like it's the way it tells a story and the way it makes you want more. It's so much different from like just a crappy false finish and be like, oh, there's going to be more. It's like night and day. Like this leaves you wanting more. Shawn Michaels and Triple H, that was settled. Like if Triple H just walked away and never came back, you'd be like, oh yeah, Shawn Michaels proved he was tough. He could get over. But by doing that, man, it's like, no, I still got something to prove. You little douche knocker. They were his words. I got the script. No.
Yeah. So Triple H is a solidified mega heel from this point forward, and JR says, "He'll rot in hell for that," and starts like cursing him out.
My God almighty. Triple H is gonna he's gonna rot in hell for what he did here tonight. Oh no. That just makes me sick. Are you proud of yourself now? Look at that stinking smile on his face. How in God's name can that human being be from this planet? How can he? Does he have no conscience? Does he have no heart? Do you have no soul? You son of a bitch! Do you realize what you just done? I cannot believe he said he was gonna leave Shawn Michaels in a wheelchair. He may have just done it. How in God's name can he be smiling? The game is laughing at his accomplishments. HBK beat your ass, and now you may have succeeded in what you wanted to do, damn you.
No good, SOB, all that good stuff. Triple H exits with a smile on his bloodied face, and HBK is stretchered out. One of the greatest matches of all time. All the thumbs in the world up.
It's like one of the stretcher moments where I genuinely believe, like, yes, stretcher that man out. This gets like 2 big thumbs up. I'm doing the double thumbs right now.
Oh, dang.
I'm pointing to the sky and
dang.
going, yes. It's not only got Shawn Michaels over as like somebody to sympathize and get behind and just root for and just believe that he's every bit as good as they say he is. This made Triple H to be the most heeliest of heels, and while you still will cheer for him when he comes out because he has a cool opening, you just want to see this guy get his comeuppance. You just want to see them fight again because you know Shawn's got something to say to him. Don't they fight again at like Hell in a Cell?
They fight again.
Is that the next one?
Wait. Well, Hell in a Cell is the match they have, but that's not a pay-per-view yet.
I mean, sorry, I'm just used to it being a dumb pay-per-view name now. They have a Hell in a Cell match. That's their next one, isn't it?
Not quite.
Not quite. Because I was about to say, I do remember that one. It was on the Hell in a Cell DVD I got from Walmart for $10, and it was amazing.
I believe the next match they have will be at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a
Looks
second.
like Triple H is going to be needing to try to survive.
Wait a second. Do you hear that?
What is it?
They're sirens. Oh no, it's the 3-minute warning skit of the night. The 3-minute warning skit of the night is reserved for the most boring skits of the night.
Is this a new segment we're doing now?
Abso-freaking-lutely, and you can have your own 3-minute warning.
Most boring segment of the night. Does this include matches or just promos or what?
Yes, all the above.
Just any point. The most boring point of tonight would be... I gotta look through. It's kind of hard to say. Like, overall, this is pretty dang solid pay-per-view.
Well, while you think of it, I'm gonna run over this promo and why I think it's the worst.
Crap.
So
I was gonna say we still have Rock versus Brock to go through.
It's not gonna take very long. So
it's pretty short. It was really good too, but I mean, following that.
So it's a skit with Howard Finkel, Trish, and Lillian. Howard says,
"Oh, I see what you're doing now."
Howard says it's the first pay-per-view that he's announced in this arena since WrestleMania 2. Says
just real quick. I agree that this was also a really stupid night.
So
this is my pick of the night.
Awesome. He says fans will always have the Fink. Trish comes out and Howard Finkel is disturbed. Jerry says, "Look at his head! It's oddly shaped! Blah!" And it is. Howard Finkel runs down Trish and the women of Long Island. He calls them Long Island skanks.
Very classy, Howard.
Fink is
why make him heel? It's so weird.
Because he's weird. And they've always just been super weird about how they used Howard Finkel. Just let the man announce. Good lord. So, Fink is upset that Trish threw him in the mud a little prior to this. Trish says that he's got a really sexy voice. And Howard Finkel says, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Listener discretion advised, by the way, it's kind of gross. It says, you got the puppies, and I've got my wiener. And everyone's just like, ew. They hug, and Trish says, Howie, I have a surprise for you. And it's Lillian Garcia. And as we know, Lillian Garcia had been taken off TV for a little bit because she got attacked by 3-minute warning. Garcia just tags him with a huge low blow, and it's the revenge for that assault. And you may be wondering, where's the women's match on this pay-per-view? Well, looks like it was taken up by this.
I was wondering the same thing, and I will say, I'm sorry I ruined your joke. I get what you're doing now, but admittedly, when this started, I did not care, and I just wanted to get to the next match, so I skipped it.
Well, fair enough. The reason I really wanted to include this, because I wanted to bring up what's going on in the women's division, and so I'm going to bring up
nothing.
Well, I want to tell you the most notable thing that I saw on Raw, and it involves women's champion Molly Holly, and it's a really, really disturbing, gross thing I was telling you about. So,
oh yeah, you never told me. What is it?
So, huge thing, listener discretion advised. You know, you've got children around, take them out. And like, I'm just recalling this. This is disturbing. I don't like this, and there's a reason WWE does not bring this up. Okay. So there's a backstage segment with William Regal and Christopher Nowinski, and Molly Holly walks by, and she's like, "Hey, this is Victoria. She's new." And they walk away, or Molly walks away rather, and they ask Christopher Nowinski rather does. He's like, "Is it true, Victoria?" And she's like, "What? Like that Molly's a virgin?" And William Regal's like, like in the background, which admittedly is funny. And Victoria's like, "Yeah, don't tell anyone though." And so we have Victoria's debut match against Trish Stratus, and it's so awkward.
We heard and been trained by the women's champion, Molly Holly King, and Molly has been kind enough to join us. And welcome, Molly.
Thank you very much, JR.
Great to have you out here, Molly. I got a few questions I want to ask you, okay?
Okay.
Well, this should be an interesting matchup, inasmuch we don't know a great deal about Victoria, other than what Molly shared with us earlier that we saw in the locker room area. Victoria, certainly physically imposing, well-conditioned young female.
Yes, she was actually a former fitness competitor.
She was? Mm-hmm. Well, enough about Victoria. Let me ask you about you, Molly. I'm going to get right to the point. Are you a virgin?
Oh my goodness. What? Come on, Molly.
Not sure enough.
Yeah, this is none of your business. I mean, really, we should be focusing on the match.
Well, I'll let JR focus on the match. Right now, come on, Molly. One of us is thinking about sex.
Well, I'm sure
it's me. You're right.
Yes.
Right. But listen, are you a virgin?
Well, it's none of your business, really. If we...
Nice cornerback takedown. And Trish the clothesline, knocking down Victoria again. Let me ask you let me put it another way. You have a fondness for cherries? Here we go. There's a cup of cherries.
I like all types of fruits and vegetables.
Have you ever tried that new drink, Cherry Coke?
Actually, I don't. No.
Hey, you know what, Molly? We're only 60 miles from. Wait a minute. That Victoria must. I think hurt that leg. You know, we're only 60 miles from Washington. That's where George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. King. Molly? Cherry tree? King, we got an injury here. And I realize that, but I'm doing my job, Jerry. I got to... Well, this is not about cherry cokes, okay? This is... Well, let me ask you about your favorite pie. Do you know what JR's favorite pie is? It's cherry pie, Molly.
King, if you...
Molly, we got an injury here. This is reminiscent of certainly a bad break for Victoria, who's obviously got herself in great shape for this debut, and she's hurting here. Of course, anything can happen when you're live, and the only sports entertainment show, there Trish showing some class and good sportsmanship.
Yeah!
Well, Molly came out of her seat like it was multi-orgasmic. That was a cheap shot.
Molly Holly's there on commentary, and Jerry Lawler. He says, "I'm going to get right to the point. Are you a virgin?" And she's like, what? And he's like, "One of us is thinking about sex. It's me. Are you a virgin?" He's just like it's so persistent. It's so disturbing. And Molly's like, Molly does not complete an entire sentence in this segment. And she's just kind of sitting there like, I don't think that's appropriate. And she's just very persistent. And he's like, "I like cherries." And I'm like, oh. And he's like, "Hey, have you had that new drink? Cherry Coke?"
She went, that's not a new drink.
He's like, we're close to Washington. You know, George Washington, he chopped down the cherry tree. And JR's like, trying to call moves like in the match. He's like, hey, JR, isn't your favorite pie cherry pie? And JR is...
Then he just goes, hey, Molly, can I deflower you with my penis? He gets right to the point.
JR's like trying to derail him and to get him to stop. And to end the segment before Victoria wins, JR's like, you got some nice cleavage. Just straight up. It's one of the most disturbing and repulsive
was it
segments.
Was it something like halfway related to the match? Like, you're like, oh, just cleaving them in two. You've got some nice cleavage.
No.
It's just straight up.
Straight
okay,
up.
Yeah, that's it. It's creepy as hell. Oh my god.
And just like they have the camera on them a few times, and Molly's just like so like red in the face, and Jerry Lawler's like, just like staring at her like so creepily. And yeah, there's a reason you've never heard about this, because like that was it. And you know,
well, it's like Stephanie says in the WWE, women are always on top.
Clearly. So
but
yeah,
not Molly Holly, you virgin.
So anyway, yeah, that's my story.
So I'm wondering where the storyline's going to go now. Is it going to go eventually her getting it on with somebody?
I'll keep you updated, because
it's gonna be like, who got it on with her? Who got it on with her? And it's gonna be a bunch of funny people, and then you're gonna find out it's Rikishi. No.
Why does that sound true?
It's that bounce right here. Time to move on. Time to be strong. Don't stop now, straight to the top now. That's what I need. Come on, that's for you, baby. Girl, you made me believe again. If you happy, then be with him. Go ahead, mommy, breathe again. Go ahead, mommy, breathe again. Don't stop now, straight to the top now. Go ahead, mommy, make it hot now.
Brock Lesnar, the next big thing, versus the People's Champion, The Rock.
At this point, like, how much was the Rock wrestling regularly? I guess I'm just so used to him being a movie star and just being, like, part-timer guy that I just never really got a grasp for how regular he was as, like, a competitor.
Well, at least for the Raws and SmackDowns that I watched, he wrestled every week on both shows.
So at this point, he was consistent wrestler. It wasn't like Steve Austin where he kind of half left and didn't.
No. He was full time.
Cool.
And it's so weird to see Triple H versus The Rock on Raw. Like,
I know that just doesn't. I guess that's why I have a hard time thinking that he's a regular competitor at this point. He just seems so much larger than life at this point.
So the opening package shows their rivalry and their workouts between the two. It's very 2002, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you completely.
It's not the best opening package. I liked it as a kid, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Rock lays the title out during his entrance and runs across it as if he's like crossing the line.
Yep. I really love Rock's running. I mean, this whole thing.
I do too.
The match. It just kicked off like bang. Like, with a bang, I guess you could even say.
Hot out of the gate for sure.
Yeah. And Brock, I got, just his entrance, seeing him perking and jumping over the ropes and stuff, man, I just makes you forget how agile he used to be. Because now he's just a big old lumbery,
just
slow.
A freak of nature.
He's just a punch boy now. He's just a punch suplex man. He's just a guy that sits and collects money and holds titles for ransom.
Oh man. So The Rock starts laying in punches and he's met with a belly to belly by good old Belly to Brock. Backbreakers by Brock, which is very impressive considering how big The Rock is.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock has injured ribs thanks to Triple H, actually.
I did not know.
Shoulder thrust to Rock. Paul Heyman kicks Rock in his ribs, and Paul Heyman's very active in this match.
I know. I thought that was actually really fun. Paul was one of the highlights of this match.
He made me so anxious. I was just like, will you stop interfering? And I guess it's like feelings of like when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bork laser clotheslines Rock over the barricade twice. Once through and once coming back. Overhead belly to belly and a near fall, the Rock kicks out. Rock battles Brock, but Paul Heyman grabs his feet. So, like, hopefully this paints the picture of, like, how I felt. Just so uncomfortable. You know, Taz put him over, like, really well, because he's like, he says Brock doesn't need any help from Paul. Like, he can do it on his own.
Yeah, they did that, and then just, I mean, Brock really, in this match, showed that. That's one thing I could say, is that Brock really was showing that he was kind of coming into his own at this point. He looked like he had it together a bit more, especially compared to, like, the last pay-per-view match he was in, where he was, like, good, but a little green, you know? And he looked really strong. But not only that, like, just, he felt like a character, you know? Or, you know, that, how do I word that? He just felt like he really was his gimmick, you know?
Yeah. I think, if nothing else, it adds a dimension to Paul Heyman's character to where he's not sure if Brock can do it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. So
I like that.
So every time, like, Brock would kind of get ahead just a little bit, it felt like Brock really was like, wow, you know, this guy's proven his worth, you know?
The Rock battles back, but Paul Heyman grabs his feet. Taz puts over Brock and says, oh, dang, I just read that. Paul chokes Rock, is what I meant to say. It's really fast-paced, and I think it's because Triple H and Shawn Michaels took up so much time that they had a limited time to work with.
You know, that's actually a good point. The match only ran for, like, I think 20 minutes, tops. Or maybe a little more.
Less than.
Mm-hmm. It's still, I mean, it's still real good for the time they did. But, yeah, they were working pretty fast. But they were working fast, but it never felt like they were just phoning it in.
The Rock is met with a power slam from Brock Lesnar. He gets frustrated that it was a near fall and that he didn't beat The Rock. And then, oddly enough, we get some Rocky Sucks chants.
Yeah, I was surprised. They were kind of back and forth, this crowd.
Yeah. It was hard to tell who emphatically had the advantage. Eventually, though, I think it becomes Lesnar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the end, you know, I think he got booed at first, but people kind of came around to him, and then Brock, it's like whenever he fought back, people cheered him, and then when he got the upper hand, he got booed, but yeah, definitely by the end, Brock ended up looking real good.
Back body drop by The Rock, and double kip up by both of them, which was a pretty cool spot.
Nah, that was fun. I like that.
Clothesline attempt doesn't work until the third try for The Rock, so
yeah,
it shows how staggering that Brock Lesnar is.
I love that. Whenever he tried and it didn't work, and then he like smacked his chest and was like, "Come on, try again." They both, like, Rock and Brock, worked real well together.
So The Rock goes for the sharpshooter, but Heyman causes a distraction, and Rock just, like, you know, rags on him and stuff. Then he gets the sharpshooter in, and it looks terrible. I hear all the time how they hate The Rock's sharpshooter, and I'm just like, is it that bad? It's that bad.
Yeah, it didn't look very good. I mean, I've never had somebody be like, Rock's is bad, but whenever he was doing it, and they're like, it's the sharpshooter, I was like, this looks off, you know?
We get some Let's Go Lesnar chants during the submission. Heyman is back on the apron. He's very much a pest in this match.
How?
He gets brought in and The Rock hits him.
Said, how much longer after this does it take for Brock to go face? Because I know he is against Cena, and I think, yeah, he is against Angle whenever they feud.
I'd give it 3 months.
With the momentum kind of turning in his favor, it seemed people were really starting to love him by the end of this match, so I'd assume it would be not too long.
Yeah, then again, it is like the Northeast crowd. They're a little more anti-smarky, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Brock hits Rock with a chair into injured ribs due to the ref distraction. And we get that bear hug, and, you know, it's been put over big since the Lesnar match.
What you mean, since the Hogan match?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I said Lesnar.
We're watching the Lesnar match, Goofy.
Yeah, the Hogan match. Emphatic Lesnar chance at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Rock's been in the bear hug so long that his eyes are rolling to the back of his head. And Taz acknowledges, like, that Long Island does not like The Rock.
I know, I thought that was kind of fun, because it's like, yeah, I mean, might as well not sugarcoat it. They don't like him.
Heyman is again distracting, and The Rock uses it and hits Lesnar with a low blow. He's met with a clothesline from The Rock, that is Brock, and People's Punches puts Lesnar outside. Rock goes over the Spanish announce table, and he slams Paul Heyman's head on the table. Rock catapults Lesnar. Shoot, I lost my place. Rock catapults Lesnar onto the post.
Which that was cool. I love how The Rock called that. He just walked over and started slapping it like, yeah! And then he just did it, and yeah, Brock sold that pretty dang well, I gotta say.
Now, what did you think about this spot when The Rock brought him to Heyman?
Brock Lesnar's agent
so cool. I didn't expect it. I was already like, Heyman's gonna get in this match. That's neat to see. And when he snuck to the table, it was like, this is great. After that, it's like Paul just kind of shut up, took a back seat, and then just Lesnar just kind of did all the work afterwards. You know, he really proved himself into that.
And Taz just loves it when he goes to the table. It's so funny.
It's like I'm sure in real life he's actually like, yay, screw you, Heyman.
Rock's then able to hit a rock bottom, but Lesnar kicks out, and The Rock is dumbfounded and starts like talking to himself. He's like, what?
The whole time, just like noticing The Rock talk to himself was just great.
Lesnar hits a Brock bottom.
Yeah, that made me go, oh, because he rocks. Because he kicks out the rock bottom, gets up, they scuffle, and then he hits the Brock. That was unexpected for me.
The Brockle's elbow.
The Brockle's elbow, yeah.
No, Rock hits a spine buster, and Lesnar gets up quickly and hits a clothesline. He goes for an F5, but it's countered, and then Rock goes for a rock bottom. That's countered into an F5. Hit it. 1, 2, 3. Your new youngest world champion, undisputed champion, Brock Lesnar.
Which that's surprising me because, I mean, I didn't know at this point he won it, especially like so young, obviously. Well, that finish was fantastic. Like, it caught me off guard. I was like, wow. I think
it
once.
Was so crash, bang, boom.
Mm-hmm. It was just like, it has to end somewhere. And then when, finally Brock just managed just to get the upper hand, caught him in the F5. The Rock is beyond famous compared to what he was back in the WWE days. So I feel like going back and watching his matches now, it just makes me feel like then he was way more important than he was. And not to say that he wasn't. Obviously, he was one of the biggest dudes in the place, if not the biggest, since Steve Austin wasn't there at this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, him getting over was just like, wow, I was almost surprised. I'm like, surely he'll kick out of this. He kicked out of the rock bottom, Brock did. And no, just 1, 2, 3, new undisputed champion. I was like, damn, Brock earned that belt.
If anything, they booked him too well.
Yeah.
Because now you see him, he earned, his place by winning in the UFC so much. But now he's just like too unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, then he worked so well because he was young, he was new, but he was big, he was strong, and he could, give him the chance, he could prove himself. And so that's what made him so dominating. It made him a force to be reckoned with. He was unpredictable. Anybody was a match for him. Like, there was nobody that seemed to be able to stop him at this point. So he goes and beats UFC boy, and then comes back. It's like, oh yeah, he's unstoppable, but it's just because you just know his name. It's not really so much what he does anymore. There's that unpredictability. It's gone.
I think the lack of emotion and admiration for the product from Lesnar helped him in the end, like during these times. Mm-hmm. He wasn't blinded by what should happen, what shouldn't happen. He was told to go do something, and he did it and didn't care, like, as long as he benefited from it.
Mm-hmm. Which is weird, because, like, nowadays I feel like, of course, he doesn't really care about the product or anything, but at the same time, it's like, I just wonder if he kind of does, because there's some interviews. I remember there's recently an interview he had where somebody brought up, oh, Dana White talking about how goofy and dumb WWE is, and Brock was like, Dana knows a lot of things, but he doesn't know how this works. He doesn't know how important it is, and blah, blah, blah. He was actually talking it up quite a bit, like he genuinely cared. But then,
Well, he does respect people in the business now, like Steve Austin and Undertaker. Like, he hangs out with them, hunts with them and stuff. And, he does it. So, like, he does know what goes into it. And, almost Dana White wouldn't. So that makes sense.
I almost want to say, I feel like the situation we're in now with Lesnar being this bajillionaire guy who gets all his money from not doing anything but like a handful of matches a year, I almost want to say it's like WWE's fault,
Yes, I agree.
Like, they brought him in, they gave him a bunch of money, and then they set a precedent. So now it's like, oh, well, you're not going to give me the same deal I've had the past 5 years? Well, then I'm going to leave.
He's the smartest man in the company.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm the biggest, the sweatiest man, Vince. You don't want to let me go. And he's like, you're right.
And the reddest.
You're right. I like big, sweaty red men. But anyways, what would you
I like diverticulitis. I'm going to give it to Shane. That works, isn't it? You were saying?
I was going to say, what would you rate this match, Levi?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
It was what it was, as the rattlesnake would say.
Yeah, very solid thumbs up. Not like the best match either of them have had, for sure, but still very, very fun. Comparing it to the one that came before it, I guess this was a good way to, I don't want to say kind of wind people down, because it wasn't. It was still very exciting. After getting that high, coming down with something that was still very like, whoa, just felt kind of like nice little tiny cherry on top of the sundae, It's a big old title change, big old shift, titanic shift in the landscape of WWE.
Well, sir, I think that's going to do it for the show. General thoughts?
Overall,
I thought this was pretty darn good.
Yeah, me too. SummerSlam 02, man. Very, like, top to bottom, pretty dang solid show. I mean, every match. The most match was probably just Test and Undertaker, but even then it wasn't, like, bad. It was just, your standard kind of Undertaker match. He gets beat up a bit, he does the schoolboy in the tombstone, calls it a day.
Would have been good for a Raw main event.
Yeah,
show.
Yeah, that would have made a solid Raw main event. As pay-per-view, it was fine. But overall, man, yeah, thumbs up. This is a pretty dang good SummerSlam pay-per-view. I really enjoyed it.
Well, listeners, join us next time as we are talking Unforgiven 2002. And honestly, I don't really remember that one too much, so I don't know how to preface it other than it is Unforgiven.
Mm-hmm. It's unforgivable that you should miss it.
I'm gonna go home and drink me some Stay Washers and recall this pay-per-view. But make sure to follow us on Twitter at RuthlessPod, Facebook, The Ruthless Aggression Podcast, subscribe on Anchor.fm and iTunes for more. Always make sure you get the latest and greatest from us. And this is Levi.
And
joining out with Kyle.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you're gonna let me say, and this is Kyle.
Let's try it again, Silly Billy. And this is Levi.
And this is Kyle.
Signing out.